Hello, hello. It is day 136 of 365 days of my raw suspending disbelief journey. It is September 5th, 2024. I almost said August. And today was fascinating. Today was so fascinating. So, first of all, last night, after I recorded yesterday's episode, I had been talking about in yesterday's episode, I'd been talking about how I have this pattern that keeps on happening, and I see the pattern, so I know that it's something that I can fix, and I just need to figure out how to fix it. Now, the pattern was that things seem to be going well, and then something goes wrong, right? Somebody gets sick, or something breaks, or my website gets I get scammed on my website and have to redo that, or there's all of these things. And at one point while I was talking, I did mention the book that I was reading, The Big Leap and the Upper Limit Problem. And I only just barely touched on it. But when I finished recording yesterday, I was like, dang, I stopped reading that book partway through. I think I maybe got halfway through, and it's been sort of on pause for a while. I haven't looked at it in a while. So I decided I was going to read some of it before bed. And wouldn't you know, that the problem that I'm having, the repeat pattern, is an upper limit problem. What? So I'm literally, I'm in the chapter called Getting Specific, How to Spot the Upper Limit Problem in Daily Life. And I only got partway through it. And where I left off, you guys, your minds will be blown. Literally, the next line, the next section of this chapter, as one of the examples of how you can spot the upper limit problem in daily life, is getting sick or getting hurt. And I was just like, are you serious? When I opened the book, my jaw dropped and I stared at it, and I almost decided to go add more to my recording, but I was like, no, I'll just talk about it tomorrow. But I couldn't believe it. I was just like, well, there's the answer to my question. There's the answer to my problem. There's the solution. It is an upper limit problem, just like some of the others. And that it blew my mind. Okay. It was just like, are you serious? How is this even possible? Because I literally stopped reading that. I don't know. The last time I mentioned it on here, probably it was maybe even like a month and a half ago or something. And I just, life got crazy. August was crazy, so I haven't touched it. And for that to be the next line, the next section, right after talking about it, divine timing is so freaking ridiculous, you guys. I can't even. The synchronicities for me have become so laughable. They're just constant, and they're so extreme. This is so extreme for me to not pick up this book for a month and a half, and then the day that I have a problem and I'm like, I see it's a pattern, I need to figure out how to solve this problem. And I pick it up and it's, oh, this is the answer. It's just like, what? So my mind was a little bit blown. But on top of that, one of the things that it says in this section of the chapter is, I'm just trying to find it because I want to get it right. It talks about how you can be a lot healthier than you ever imagined just by becoming aware of this, right? So, he says, for example, I felt the sniffles and scratchy throat of a cold coming on. I would pause to wonder whether I was upper limiting myself. I soon discovered that I could ward off colds if I regarded them as upper limit symptoms. It made a huge difference in my health. As of this writing, I haven't had a cold or flu in 13 years. And that's huge, right? That's massive. And I don't tend to get sick a lot, but as I've been having this massive growth over the last couple of years, in my life, I have gotten sick so much more. And of course, some of that can be attributed to COVID and isolation and, everybody then going back out into the world with these screwed up immune systems because of it. But, big, huge but, as soon as I realized this, because I was starting to feel icky yesterday and my kids were sick. And I was just like, no, like I do not have this is not the time for me to get sick, right? I do not want to get sick. And um, I was so frustrated by the fact that I was going to get sick. And it was because I could feel the symptoms already. And I was like, dang it, I'm getting sick. And, um, I'll always, like, I'll take my vitamin C or my vitamin D, the things like whatever things that will help me not get as sick if that starts. But once I've started, usually I end up getting sick. And especially with asthma, and I was a smoker for 20 years. So I'm like, my lungs don't love it when I get sick. And I tend to really get sick. And, um, for the most part, I just don't get it in the first place. But once I do, it's hard to kick a lot of the time. So I was worried about it. And of course, my kids went to bed. I had just given them Tylenol. Like, they had fevers, their coughs were awful, their noses were runny, and they were just starting into an illness. Okay. So, Jace especially is his lungs get everything. He gets these awful coughs, all of that kind of thing. And Casey was the one that had the really terrible fever. It was really, really bad the night before. So I was just like feeling a little bit of, we're doomed. We're all sick and gonna die. Not gonna die, but just like, oh, we're in it now. And then I read this and I was like, this is clearly an upper limit problem. Because I specifically was talking about that. I was talking about how things were going so good. And so, of course, something had to go wrong. And it was like, well, duh. Yeah, this is an upper limit problem. And as soon as I did that, I mean, it wasn't like, oh, that second I had no more symptoms or something like that. But I woke up today completely healthy. There was no more symptoms. I'm good. Um, I didn't need to have that upper limit. I didn't need to stop myself from moving up. By getting sick. And I could not believe this part because I don't know how this works. I don't have a comprehension of this. But my kids woke up way healthier. No more fevers. Casey's cough had gotten way better overnight. Jace's had improved, and both of their noses had slowed down as far as like the nonstop running went. And usually, like I said, when Jace gets sick especially, but usually when these kids get sick, they're sick for a week or two, and they've only been sick for a couple of days. And I'm like, holy shit. I can't even fathom that my upper limit problem could be allowing them to get sick. And I can try to, like, if I sit there with it, I can go, well, I mean, okay, I'm caught up in the upper limit part of it in feeling like things are going really well, but I feel like I have to be on a lot for work and not be focused on the kids as much or something like that, and then when I'm not focused on the kids as much, then they're not getting, the active attention to keep them healthier in the first place, or, whatever the case may be. So in this case, um, they had their first day of school, and I was talking about this yesterday. They had their first day of school. I couldn't believe that they got sick from their first day of school, but their first day of school was a Friday, and the weekend after it was supposed to be a weekend with me, but instead I sent them with their dad because my website had this explosion, and I was like, I want to get more done on my business and whatever. So I sent them for an extra weekend with their dad. When they're with their dad, they do not sleep as much at night, and Casey does not nap during the day. And um, they're just overtired in general. They tend to not eat as well for him. They don't, they refuse their healthier foods, and he allows them to refuse that, versus here I make them eat their healthy vegetables and, whatever, stuff like that. All of the pieces combined, because I hit an upper limit and I allowed it to take over instead of flowing through it, my kids, hit whatever germs on Friday at school, but instead of just being able to not get sick from them because they were home with me and getting enough rest and getting their healthy diet and drinking enough water and all the things, because they weren't here, again, because I was putting extra time into my business instead of into my children, because I had hit this stride of like everything's going really, really well, and my website just had this thing, which was totally an upper limit thing. But instead of being like, okay, so this happened, it's just going to take me a little while longer, and delaying it and still having my kids on the weekend that it was supposed to be my weekend, I gave them up to their dad that weekend. Therefore, they got sick. I just, like, I can sit here with it. I can figure it out. I can figure out how my upper limit problem can end up making my kids sick. And I can also, what I can't really fully understand is the fact that I read this, had the mindset shift, recognized my upper limit problem for what it was, let it go instead of keeping myself stuck there, woke up healthy, and my kids also woke up healthier. And I mean, by the end of today, I was like, why did I keep you guys home? I mean, they had, like, fevers suck, and the coughs were awful, and they were fighting and all these things, but they were so energetic. I'm like, you guys are not sick enough to be home anymore. And, and just like, it blew my mind. Anyways, I think this is so key, right? Especially when, and I'm sorry for like the random ramblings to explain the situation, but my mind is so blown that I can't even put it into like straight order. But this really ties in, and so this book is like, I could not have found it during a better time while doing a suspending disbelief challenge. But upper limit problems and suspending disbelief tie in so well together. When we release with the upper limit, when we hit something that we're like, when we become aware that it's our upper limit, all we have to do is decide, okay, I can move past this, and we do. And when you're deciding that, you're suspending disbelief. You are going, I don't need to think that way. I don't have to feel that way. I don't have to allow this to block me. I can continue growing past this. Nope, that doesn't have to mean this. Nope, that doesn't have to mean that. And it's suspending disbelief all the way. And it's blowing my mind, the timing of it. And obviously now I'm not putting this book back down right away or anything like that, but I just, the timing of coming back to that specific spot partway through a chapter, even not even the beginning of a chapter, my mind was blown. And of course, it amplifies and really proves the statement that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, right? I'm exactly where I should be. And on top of all of that, if I'm hitting upper limits, it's because my success is here. I'm moving up. In order to hit an upper limit, I need to be moving up. I need to be growing and expanding and rising up. So for me to be hitting my upper limit so much lately, I mean, looking back at the last 3 months, even all of the stuff with my oldest's dad, all of the drama and the chaos and the I can't even think of all of the things, but even in the last month, having energetic attacks, having a dear friend do a 180, having my the hosts of my website pull a scam, like all of these big things are upper limit problems. And I recognized them for that with those ones, but I didn't recognize it with these little things like getting sick when things are flowing well, or so now I'm like, okay, here's a whole new world, a whole nother thing opening up of like what we really bring on ourselves with our upper limit problems, right? What we call in because we don't feel that we deserve, on some level, we don't feel that we deserve to continue to move upwards. And that as soon as you recognize it, of course you can go, well, of course I deserve that. And you can move past it. But when you don't realize it's there, you get stuck. And so it's blowing my mind right now. And I just wanted to share about it. I definitely feel how tied in with this whole suspending disbelief challenge this concept is. And for anyone who hasn't started it or hasn't read it, I highly recommend the book The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. It is incredible. It will change your life. And if you mix it with the suspending disbelief challenge, you're golden. Because let me tell you, things are moving quick for me right now. So that's all I'm going to share for today, just because I don't want this episode to get super long. I'm trying to keep them shorter again, like I said before. Like way back when I started this, I said I wanted to aim to keep them under 15 minutes each. So I'm going to try not to go over that too often. Try to be more cognizant of that from now on. And maybe it will balance out for those episodes that are like 2 minutes long because I'm like, I got nothing to say. So I'll hold some of it back and talk about it tomorrow. No, but anyways, that is what I have for you guys today. And I hope that it was helpful and insightful for you and gave you some ahas and helped you to move something forward in your own life, and start questioning, those things that pop up as upper limit problems. And I think it'll be super helpful for you. I sure know it is for me. So I will talk to you all tomorrow.